Welcome, and this is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green.
Herbal, and welcome to the traditional Herbal Health Show. And as usual, I'm going to open the show by reading an essay IFA, and then I would introduce today's topic. Today's essay IFA is coming from the book, or the Udu, Iwori Irite. The essay IFA reads, nurture them gently, cultivate them carefully, so that the people of the world might not go wrong. Anyone who does good does it for him or herself. Anyone who does evil does it for her or himself. If a divination was done for the world, they said that. Okay, Ekabor once again. I mean, the little video was quite interesting. So now I would. All right, so I would like to introduce you to the host of today's show, which is Ianti, Coach Ian.
Yeah. I'm happy to be back. How have you been, Baba?
I've been well here, Well, I must say it's been pretty hot in Trinidad the last few days, so I've been surviving the heat. I don't know. Tell me what the weather is like on your side.
It's not so hot. Like at the end of November, the temperature is a whole lot cooler over here. So we've
Okay.
had a lot of heavy rains, and what's hot around here is definitely what's going on socially. But in terms of the weather, we are grateful.
All right. Well, I mean, the topic that you have chosen for today is quite suited. At least we in Trinidad would need to be drinking quite a lot of juice with the current weather temperature, But as we just saw in the video there, the host was showing us how to actually make and store juices. But in the Caribbean, we have a great advantage. We have a lot of tropical fruits that we could also use for juicing.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Oh,
Even
definitely.
seasonal fruits, though, how do we sort of deal with that issue of season? I mean, if I wanted to have like tamarind juice any time of the year, I mean, the video was interesting. It could be stored, frozen, all of that. But what do you recommend, Doctor?
Okay, if you like to enjoy seasonal juice all year long, it means that whenever the fruit is in season, then you would have to store it properly. So whenever possible, dry it, create a powder, or you can always freeze the fruit, cut it in pieces and freeze it. I do not necessarily recommend to juice it and then freeze it already juiced. It is
Okay.
better to freeze the whole fruit.
Okay.
You see me like you see my face moving on different side because I'm still sorting out my technical problem. I'm right
Okay.
now using my phone because the computer is still um, giving me a little stress.
All right. Well, I mean, we could still talk about it. I mean, while you sorting out your technical thing. Now,
Definitely.
in terms of juicing, Doc, you recommend fruits, vegetables. What is really most suitable in terms of getting the nutritional benefit of juicing?
I didn't quite get the question because there's a lot of pause and feedback.
Oh, I was asking between fruits and vegetables in terms of getting the most nutritionally, what do you recommend? We use fruits or we use vegetables or we mix them or how should we approach this whole thing of juicing if we were to take like a
Okay.
scientific approach?
You um I believe you asked me what do I recommend between juice and vegetable. Because as I'm
Fruit,
telling you,
fruit.
it's really complicated in terms of the feedback. Okay. Um, for me, I do like the vegetable juice a whole lot more because it contains a lot of minerals and a whole lot less sugar. So I feel like you get a better cleanse by using the green vegetables or green leafy vegetables to to enjoy some juice. However, there's nothing wrong in having a little fruit juice once now and then, as long as it is not taken in excess. And because sugar is sugar, okay. And when you use the difference between using the juice and to eat the fruit is that the fiber is going to reduce the absorption of the natural sugar into your bloodstream. However, whenever you juice, there's no fiber, so everything is going straight into your bloodstream a whole lot faster. So that is why my favorite is going to remain the green vegetables. However, if you use the fruit juice without added sugar, then it's a whole lot healthier.
Okay. So then from what you're saying, apparently there are various reasons that we can use different types of fruit juices. For example, you
Yes, so this
mentioned
is what I
the
wanted to
vegetable.
speak about this afternoon. Go ahead, Baba. Sorry
Yeah,
to
because
interrupt.
yeah, no problem. For me, I love juice. I drink juice all the
Mm-hmm,
time. It doesn't matter what type of juice. But just today, because we're discussing juicing, I would
mm-hmm.
say that for health reasons, it's probably a lot better if you use natural fruits. If you're trying to replace or substitute for just drinking regular juice with brown sugar or whatever have you. For taste, that is not necessarily for nutrition because I drink juice for taste and to bring down the temperature because of the heat, you know?
Actually, we all have to get accustomed to just drink everything at room temperature and avoid anything cold. I mean, there'll be time where we will make exception, but it is not good for the body to drink cold stuff.
Okay. Well, we tend to believe that once you drink something really cold, that is going to make your body cool down. Is that the way it actually works, though?
Now, actually, whenever your drink is too cold, your body has to work um, a little more to elevate the temperature of the drink in the digestive system so that it could be absorbed. Because in the digestive system, um, everything is at one temperature, and the more cool stuff we drink is the more we weaken our digestive fire. So we temper with our digestion and our ability to process fats and everything else by consuming too many cold drinks.
Okay, so therefore, doc, when we drink something really cold, it
Mhm.
doesn't bring the body temperature down, but in fact, it increases the body temperature. I'm just trying to get what you're saying. It
That's exactly
increases the
what
body
I'm saying.
temperature
Mhm.
in
Your
order
body
to.
temperature has to first increase to actually, be a tampon to to absorb the coolness from the drink in the stomach. So
Okay,
it's like if it's too cold, then your body has to work a little more to raise its temperature. So sometimes you tend to drink even more, and then according to how your digestive fire is working, what's going to happen is that you might end up with too much liquid, okay, or sometime whatever you drink might solidify a whole lot faster, including the fat, so then some of it is not going to be digested.
okay,
So
okay,
if you look at the Asians, when they eat, they drink a lot of tea or they drink a lot of hot water.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you would talk about the temperature. Now we're going from cold to hot. Particularly in the climate we have right now with the COVID. Normally, they recommend, oh,
Mhm.
as I say that you're gonna, I'm sure you will do your disclaimer shortly. But normally they recommend that you use hot drinks,
Definitely.
right? Does that relate basically to the whole issue of improving circulation?
Also to improve the circulation, but it also have, because the temperature is maintained within, if there is any foreign if there is any foreign attribute in the body, that means if you end up catching any type of infection, because the temperature is already optimal to destroy and to process, then it will be easier to deal with it right away. Any foreign agents, that's the word I was looking for. However, if your body is still struggling to bring a balance, then give it way to process and to advance further into your system.
Okay, so that's the reason why. Well, I always wondered about that because I mean, generally, I could remember growing up, and my mother would insist when you get up first thing in the morning, you
Mhm,
must drink this hot cup of tea or you
mhm.
must have this porridge. And sometimes, I like, why I can't just have juice? I love juice. Just ma, give us juice.
Mhm.
No son, go and sit and drink that tea. I don't know, it's the way the old people, they would say, the elders, they would say, if you don't, then you're gonna get gas. So you'd be gassy. So you have to have that tea. You have to have it in the morning, and then when it comes around almost to bedtime, you're gonna have some tea, and then you're gonna pay the bathroom a little visit, and then you hop into your bed.
Well, exactly. Then everything keeps moving and you use the bathroom. One day I spoke to a client and I asked her how often she was going to the bathroom, and she was barely counting on her hand how many times she was going per week. So
Hmm.
then I asked her, how many times do you eat per day? Count every snack you have. If you're drinking smoothies, smoothie is a meal, so count it as a meal as well. Because people like to drink the smoothie as a drink and then still eat food. But the smoothie usually is a whole meal. So therefore, when she counted how many meals, we multiplied by 7 to have the total of how many meals she had per week. And so now we were able to tell her, okay, well, if you're going, let's say 5 times per week, and most people do not go 5 times per week. Most people go maybe 3 times per week. And our colleagues who are medical physicians feel like it's okay to go 1 to 3 times per week. Well, according to what you eat, it's only normal for you to go 1 to 3 times per week. But if you intake about 30 meals per week, but you're only going once a week or 3 times per week, how long are you staying on the toilet, and how much are you releasing to make sure that all what you have ingested, has
Yeah,
been
but
processed and is out of your body?
then, doctor, I mean, there's an interesting thing you raised there because to me, Caribbean people, when you see they serve, they have a serving of food, the plate is this high. So if the plate is this high and you're putting away that amount of food, then I would want to think that is going to be necessary within an hour or two after that meal that you would pay a visit to the bathroom.
But usually, when the plate is that heavy, I'm sorry because you brought back a memory. And it's a former friend of mine who is late, unfortunately. And back in the days when we used to go to church, after church, we used to have this potluck, and everybody would bring 2 or 3 meals. And so we would want to sample everything. But to
Wow.
sample everything, you should actually just use 1 spoon, especially when it's a lot of us and many meals. You should just use 1 spoonful of everything so you could sample everything. And it is still not healthy for your digestive system to have so many different preparations to be digesting in one intake. But the Caribbean way, I'm gonna speak for Caribbean people because I don't really know for others. Although I have seen, some friends of mine from the US when they eat, it's pretty much the way we eat, sometimes even worse. So
Okay.
you're gonna get, this amount of one meal. and then this other portion on the other side. And then you're like, top it up, put a little more. 2 hours later, the body, it's impossible to go to the bathroom. Usually after this, people need to sleep because the body is under such a strain to digest all what's in there that we end up going to sleep. And that's one of the worst things we could do.
All right, but what we're discussing right now is
Mhm.
bulk forming foods and meals that are, really dense, a lot of stuff. But
Yes.
you had mentioned before that
Mhm.
smoothies also represent a meal. Let's talk a little bit about that because to me, when I think about smoothie, now again, there's memory too. I remember when I was in secondary school, they used to sell something called slush in the cafeteria,
Yes.
which was like a frozen
Uh-huh.
juice,
Yeah.
but the ice was very fine. It was unlike a snow cone. Because the
Yeah.
snow cone, the ice particles is pretty rough. You could,
Mhm.
use the straw, you could actually eat the ice. With the smoothies now, the smoothies would have the consistency of something like soft ice cream, and you would drink this. So whenever I think of the slush that we used to have in school, I
Mhm.
also think of the smoothie.
I did.
Now,
Mhm.
right. Now, most smoothies, would they be like protein drinks and would they contain like
Yeah.
eggs and things like that?
Ooh, egg. Okay, so this is why I said that a smoothie is usually a meal. Okay, when years ago when I was trained, I had like a whole training about planifying green smoothie flush, green smoothie diets, cleanse, etc. The amount of stuff we would pack in a smoothie, and we would mix like fruits, sometimes vegetables, seeds, proteins, all kind of stuff. Sometimes peanut butter. We never use egg. However, we never use egg. We would
Oh
eat
no,
egg.
well,
We would not
yeah.
put egg in there. No, but I'm just saying because indeed, like we have like I can remember that my grandmother used to make something that we call shudo, and in it they would put the egg, the raw egg, and just beat it into the drink. You know,
Okay.
so and then that's something that we would drink. So we would eat egg and milk mixed together with all kind of spice and so on. And I think that's very similar to eggnog, by the way, but we call it
Okay.
shudo. Okay,
Okay.
so all of those things is very heavy on the stomach. All right, and then we are eating it in a way that's not the original form. So it means that it's going to be even more complicated for the body to sort out everything. So to
For
put the
digestion.
protein, yeah, to put the protein where the protein is supposed to go, and all that is absorbed into the bloodstream a whole lot faster as well. So it means that when people are using those, for example, as just a juice and not as a meal, so that, for example, that 1 cup probably represents such amount of calories. I'm not a person who really, deal with calories all the time, but for this particular purpose, let's think about it. If your cup of smoothie is probably like 800 calories, but you only having that cup of smoothie, that's no problem. Okay, but if your drink is 800 calories and your plate is 2 or 3,000, then we have a problem. It is too much for one meal. Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, here I have a further question because when I hear the term juicing,
Mm-hmm.
basically we talking about a liquid diet. But what I want to find out, because we talk about vegetables, we talk about fruits, and now we're talking about smoothies. Now, for me, the knowledge that I have of smoothies is in most cases, when you're young and you're lifting weights and you're doing all that type of thing, you want to drink all these protein shakes and all that type of thing because you're trying to put on this weight.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
smoothies, you mentioned them being a meal,
It is.
right? So, would these things be combined with juice and vegetable? If you on a juice fast, would you count smoothies as a part of that therapy also, or you don't mix these things up? Is either you're using fruits, you're using vegetables, or you're using protein stuff to drink, like in the case of smoothies.
Okay. Everybody, when it comes to this type of nutritional drink, you're gonna hear different. There's gonna be different trends because we all gonna be thinking differently according to what's our um
The
trend,
protocol.
protocol or trend. Me, when it comes to smoothie, I tend to stick with the Indians and the Ayurveda in the main that I do not recommend to mix fruits and vegetables. So if you're having a fruit smoothie, you're having a fruit smoothie. And if you're having a green smoothie, you're having a green smoothie. And if you can't drink it totally green because the taste is maybe too strong, you can cut the taste with maybe a little honey or maybe a little molasses. But you try to avoid the fruits and the vegetables at the same time. So much as if you're going to be adding protein powder, because the protein powder is not natural. Usually it has been processed.
Okay.
Okay. And so if you are drinking a smoothie to add to your size, because people probably going to the gym and so on, they are going to pack it with a lot of nutrient indeed, because that's what they need. But most people who are drinking smoothie, they are drinking it because they want to drink something healthy. And a lot of people are also using it to detox their body. So then the less is the best. You don't have to pack so many nutrients in it, because the idea of detoxing your body is actually to be consuming a whole less so that your body can burn what you already have within.
All right. So then now, that leads to another question, Doc?
You go
Because,
ahead.
right, I'm drinking the protein stuff. I'm in the gym and trying to put on weight. Now, you mentioned detoxing and cleansing. So therefore, I would want to think, I could be wrong,
Mhm.
that if a person on the other side of it, they're not lifting iron and all that to put on weight, now you're trying to lose weight. Would you also use the smoothie, or would you just use, let's how you mentioned the vegetable, the green leafy vegetables or whatever? What would normally be the recommendation for people trying to lose weight? Which approach or which
If you're
protocol
trying
should they
to
use?
lose weight, you can also use a green smoothie. You would avoid probably the fruit smoothie if you're trying to lose weight. If you're trying to lose weight and you want to use fruits, it's better you eat fruits than you use fruit juice. For the same purpose that you do not want too much sugar absorbed into your bloodstream.
Okay.
Okay.
But also, wouldn't the fruit too be bulk forming, which would ensure that you actually go to make bathroom visits frequently during that purpose, during that time, during the process?
The fruits will help, but remember that the greens have a stronger cleansing effect than the fruits itself. So it's going like you're gonna have a greater result by using the greens, because in the greens there's no sugar. So you'll have a much better result by using green vegetables, green leafy vegetables to blend, as opposed to using fruits as well. So technically, for people who really can't make it without fruits, what we do is we start 50-50 the
Okay.
first week, and then the second week we keep decreasing so that the taste buds start to get accustomed to the green taste as much
Yeah,
as.
because Doc, I ain't want no fruit juice business to drink if it didn't have a sweet taste. I'm sorry, I have like a sweet tooth or something. So I might want to add a little honey, or it
Mhm,
must have some grapes or apples,
mhm.
something that has a sweet taste. Is it normally recommended, or are we trying to avoid sugars altogether if we're trying to lose weight?
It is always better to avoid sugar altogether. Okay, it's always better. But according to the body type of the person, a little honey is not going to make a difference. Like people who are on the heavier side, the kappa people, like my body type, usually we should avoid using sweeteners. But sometimes like there are people whose 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 arm is probably like my two legs together. I'm not going to stand up, but both legs together, and that's one arm. If they use just 1 teaspoon of honey, that's it's really not gonna do anything. It's not gonna create any damage, because there's just enough in the body to be drained. Okay,
All
if
right.
if you're already very slim, you don't have much weight on, and every drink you have is packed with a lot of sweetener, you're not doing yourself any favor, and you're not cleansing neither.
All right. Now, that would be the issue of sugar. Now, there is something that I'm concerned about that I think is of importance, and that is the issue of electrolyte balance in
Hmm.
juicing
Yes.
because of the intake of sodium. Like, for example, you talk about using the green leafy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, a lot of these leafy herbs like celery and all these things contain a lot of sodium. And most
Mm-hmm.
people would be concerned about sodium because it's believed that sodium causes your body to retain water. So, how do you sort of deal with that? Now, is there a
Usually, when you
distinction?
yeah, usually when you juice, you do not like juice the vegetable and just drink the whole extract raw like this. Usually, you're supposed to adjust it 50-50 with water, exactly to balance out the sodium or any other electrolyte so that it won't be too strong on your kidneys neither. Okay.
Okay,
20 years
okay.
ago, when I used to blend cucumber juice, at first, I used to drink it just like, just have a shot of the cucumber juice. But then, with time wisdom, you understand and you learn that that's not the way. As a matter of fact, when my baby started to drink cucumber juice, then I was happy to stretch it so that there'll be enough for the both of us.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because I brought that up because people who exercise a lot,
Mhm.
right? They lose a lot of minerals through their perspiration,
Yes.
right? And then it would be very important, particularly if you're juicing, that you understand if you're using vegetables that provide a natural source of sodium. You mentioned diluting, which is one of the approaches. Another problem that arises is if some people go on what's called a low sodium diet in an attempt to lose water, in an attempt to lose weight.
Okay.
But
So,
if you remove too much sodium, you're going to end up
mhm.
with an electrolyte imbalance, which is a dilemma that you're trying to avoid.
Well,
How
this
is
is
that
why.
dealt with?
Okay, this is why usually whenever you like, we do not recommend that people just take a trend and just make it their own and decide, okay, I'm going on a 45 days juice fast. I'm going on a 45 days. I'm only having smoothies and so on, because you can create a great amount of imbalances in the body, chemical imbalances, in terms of maybe sometimes you drink too many of one vegetables, too much of one vegetables, or maybe too much of the same protein added into your drink, or maybe you don't add any protein at all, so that you end up with a protein deficiency.
Okay.
So usually we recommend that you would have someone supervising what you do. So it is true that all of us in the Caribbean, we always feel like, okay, I know what I'm doing. We used to do it, but it never hurt, to communicate with someone who have probably a little a specific
No, well,
knowledge of those
I,
things.
I guess
And to
that is,
deal with it.
I guess, Doc, that is where the disclaimer sort of comes in. You know,
That's when, excuse me,
that's
remember I'm
when,
on the phone,
that's
so I'm
when,
not hearing so well.
okay, that's when the disclaimer comes in
Oh,
that
yes.
we not giving medical advice. So even if one should consider juicing, you may, particularly if you have a chronic condition, you may want to go to your physician, tell
Yes.
your physician what you're interested in doing, and seek the guidance of the physician.
Seek guidance. And you would find that most doctors do not recommend anything natural at all. Okay, for the simple reason that sometimes they just can't control it. Only a few. I can remember that I had one doctor way back who has gone on retirement. He used to work in the French military and he was stationed in China for years. And while
Okay.
stationed in China, he also studied traditional Chinese medicine. So he would use both protocols to treat his patient.
Well, Doc, I think from my experience too, right? When I was an adult, married, and all that stuff,
When you were an
I
adult. So what are you now, Baba?
no, well, I think I'm a little advanced. I like, once a man, twice a child kind of thing. I'm going back into the childhood stage just now. But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, when I was like into family life and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
I still am. I don't want you to hit me over the head for that one too. But
Okay.
I can remember when my mother had some health problems and she went to her doctor,
Mhm.
and the doctor said to her, "Mom, you're gonna have to stop eating pork,
Mhm.
and you're gonna have to stop eating meat every day, and this and that and the other." So, as much as a lot of doctors may not recommend natural protocols in situation where conditions become acute, they
Mhm.
would give taboos and they would tell the person, "Listen, you have to slow down on the meat. You can't
Exactly.
use salt. You can't
Mhm.
use seasoning." They give a bunch of restrictions.
True.
But people who practice holistic health like we do, and
Mhm.
people who advise people on nutrition and herbal health and alternative treatments, we generally tell people, be moderate. You don't have to get sick for us to tell you that. We're
It
gonna
is
say,
true.
mhm,
Okay, that's I like the word that you use, taboo. Why? Because let's explain a little taboo. A taboo would be something that's not good for you to eat. Okay, so for some people, for holistic or spiritual reason, for example, they do not eat pork or they do not eat seafood. Okay, some others maybe it is that they should not eat whatever the case may be. All right. For example, on a holistic point of view, also in terms of ethnomedicine, certain people shouldn't eat certain fruits or shouldn't eat certain type of vegetables. So it's like I like to use the example of pineapple. Oh, I love pineapple. The pineapple doesn't love me the way I love it.
okay, well,
Okay, so
pineapple is one of my taboos, so I'm forced to not
all
eat
right. So,
pineapple.
pineapple is used a lot for women to lose weight, for men as well. But I know, women, we always in these things. And it is used a lot as a diuretic. But for people with my particular body type, they're actually causing water retention. So technically, you see, like right now, if you look at my arm look like a little bumpy because like right now I'm having a water retention episode. So it's like adding right now, eating pineapple is only going to cause my arm to have just more waves into it and to
Okay.
store more water into my body than draining it. Whereas for other people, it's going to work the opposite way. So even when we are blending all what we are putting together to have a juice, we also have to keep in mind that it's not one size fits all when it comes to fruits and vegetables.
Well,
Some are
the,
going to
the,
work for some, and so for some others, it's going to be taboo.
all right. Well, in IFA, normally
Mhm,
when they give us taboos,
mhm.
taboos it kind of translate into English as what is prohibited, what is not good.
Yes.
But in many instances, the recommendations that are given are related to what we know to be spiritual poison. These
Mhm,
are things that would affect individuals adversely. And in most instances, you are told which area of your life this particular thing is going to affect. And then you are told, this is what you should avoid, and this is why you should avoid it. Whether it be a long term, like in my case, because of my governing Odu,
mhm.
but in some cases it might be temporary depending on what might be going on in the life of a person at that particular point in time. So, I mean, the term taboo just simply means that which is forbidden, but I just went into explaining a little bit more of how IFA views it and the principles that IFA guides along the lines of those things, right? But let's go back directly to the issue of juicing. Um, Juicing seems to be an ideal therapy for many conditions, right? Tell me, if I had high blood pressure, which I don't, right? Is there any particular orphan type of fruit or vegetable that you may know that could actually assist me with maintaining some level of balance in terms of my health?
Oh, it's as if I knew you were going to ask me for this one because I did put a few of them together in case. So for high blood pressure, then it's recommended to blend grapes, oranges, carrots, and beetroots.
Okay.
Okay, and of course it have to be like 50-50. So it's better to juice it one by one, and then you blend the juices together
Okay, in equal parts.
in equal parts, and then like I don't know if you have like this amount, for example, of juice, then you mix it to the equal amount of water.
All right. And in terms of these, I mean, I know we're not giving a specific prescription, people, because if you
No.
all have high blood pressure, you all know what we tell you all. Go by your doctor. We just giving you all information,
Hmm.
so it's for informational purposes
But
only.
what I want to just inject right here is that Years ago, juice cures were very common because people rely a lot on home remedies a whole lot more than medicine. So people would always try to see what it is they can eat to fix the way they feel or to fix an imbalance. Okay, so indeed, that kind of, because now we call everything is a therapy, as I say, is that once you can add therapy to it, you can charge a whole lot more money. You could
But
think
then,
that somebody,
but
talk to
then,
me.
Doc, I want to ask this because even the regular medical doctors who would normally prescribe different medications for, let's say, a diabetic person,
Mhm.
normally too, they give you a dietary list and they tell you, listen, these things are high on the hyperglycemic list, and you need to avoid, crucifines and carrots and things that would send your blood sugar up real fast. Because a lot of the medication that they
It is true, but I must admit that I do not go to the doctor that often. As a matter of fact, when I do visit my doctor, he's always very surprised, like, what are you doing here? Because he also knows that it doesn't matter what he prescribes, I won't take it anyhow. So he's always surprised to see me whenever I do go. But I had a friend who passed away last year, and she was suffering from diabetes. And it's technically, I know for a fact that it was recommended to her that she had to eat pasta almost every day. She was told, for example, do not eat rice, do not eat any provision, do not eat. But it's like, I'm like, man, she was born in Dominica. She was born in the south of Dominica. In the south of Dominica, we eat a lot of provisions. Yeah, we like a lot
okay.
of brown food. And a lot of the blue people tell you, you mustn't eat any of those things. You must eat pasta every day. It's
Mm.
like, but for me, it's like I wouldn't think about eating. So I like, for me, pasta is not natural. So pasta is
Okay.
not something I would always recommend to someone to eat something that is naturally made than to eat something that is man-made in order to feel better. So even if they do give a lot of recommendation in terms of the dietary guideline, um, you always have to also use your common sense to add to the doctor's medical knowledge.
Okay, but then now that brings me,
I'm not
because
using anymore.
right, no, from what I'm getting, what you're saying is that the indigenous food is natural for people to eat indigenous food, right? So on the issue of juicing, right? Would it be that, let's say I'm in Trinidad and I decide, okay, I want to follow one of these juice diets or a juice fast or whatever it is? Would you normally recommend that I use the fruits that are available locally, or should I go into the grocery store and buy apples and grapes?
That was a long question, Baba, and I did not hear everything because there's a funny feedback out of the blue.
All right.
Okay, now
Uh,
you're
all right.
now you're
You could hear me now?
yes, now I can.
Right. My question is, you just mentioned the use of indigenous food in the case of the individual who lived in a certain part of the island where they use a lot of provisions or ground provisions. I am asking now, if I decided that I wanted to go on a juice fast or a juice diet, would you recommend that I use mainly indigenous fruits, or should I go into the grocery store and buy apples and grapes?
All right. So I believe that God made no mistake when we were created. So therefore, if around you there are no apple growing, it's not a must for you to use apple every day, and it's not a must for you to juice apple to drink as part of your juice therapy. It's always okay to use what you have around you. All right. If I can step aside of the topic like just a little bit. Yesterday, a friend of mine sent me a link about yoni steaming, and there was this French lady who gave a long reason why it is totally absurd for a woman to steam her private part. So she was asking me, "What do you think?" And I smiled because this is where sometimes the French Islanders were gonna find themselves with the butt between two chairs, being French and being an Islander. What do I do? Because they say it's wrong, they say it's foolish, but I'm like, didn't your grandmother do that? Oh yeah, for real, she did that for it. So it's like use what's around you, and that's what I told her. I told her what could be foolish is for you to order yoni steaming that come from another part of the world from herbs that you know nothing about to go and steam your private part. However, to go and pick the bush yourself, or to have someone to pick the bush and prepare them for you, then that's different. Okay, because those are herbs that are part of your natural habitat, stores that directly around you. And if you are indigenous to an area but you have lived there long enough, your body is going to adapt to the herbs around you as well, the fruits and so on that's around you as well, because this is your new habitat. Okay, so it's like we have mangoes, we have guavas. There are so many things that we have that we don't need all the time to depend on what comes from out of uh,
The
our
region.
geographic zone, definitely. And
All right.
what it takes in the Caribbean, if we would consume a whole lot more local stuff, we would be a whole lot richer.
All right. Well, doctor, we've already done like 50 minutes, right? Even though we had that video in the beginning, which is going
Hmm.
to probably take up about 15 minutes. So we could probably go 10 more minutes, because after the edit, we're going to be pretty within your time, which is 45 minutes.
Sure.
So,
So technically, what I would want to say to add to the video is that we can find juice cures for almost any health issues. All right. So the treatment of disease through an exclusive diet of fruits and vegetables is known as juice therapy. That's what we spoke about. Okay. But it's also called juice fasting. And I like that expression a whole lot better, juice fasting. So when you do a juice fasting, for example, um, the focus is to cleanse the organs, okay, and to eliminate the extra. So, you clear all what's in your lymphatic system. If possible, maybe your blood might get cleansed, but usually, a juice fast is not enough just for this, but you are going definitely to touch your liver to have like a much better looking skin. Okay, and it's going also to move your bowel. So if you have any accumulated metabolic waste, you're going to realize that if you have the little pouch in front of the stomach is going to smooth out after a few days. 7 to 10 days is always what we recommend. Okay, so because the first 3 days usually your bowels, your stomach is still emptying itself, and after 3 days is when the real fast begins. So, some people will tell you that they're going to fast for 3 days, but 3 days is technically you just emptying what's in your stomach and what's in your colon. That's it. Now, if you want to really like go into experiencing the cleansing effect of such a juice fast, then you have to last from 3 days going forward. So that's why we recommend 7 to 10 days. So the juice therapy, it allows the digestive system to rest. Okay, because there's no fiber, so there's less pressure on the digestive system, and so that translates into a better and quicker absorption of the nutrients by the body. So that's
okay.
a very simple process, very
All
simple.
right. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt your progression, right? But
Sure.
I have a quick question,
Mhm.
and this is concerning something that I've heard Dr. Sebi speak on, right? Fasting is generally used to remove most of the waste from your system. But he had also mentioned in the process of fasting, a lot of cholesterol
Mhm.
also
Yeah.
melts and is removed from the system.
Yes.
So it does that also play an important part in the improving of health?
Well, definitely, because the less cholesterol, excuse me, I'm sorry, the less cholesterol in the body, okay, it means that the energy circulates in your body a whole lot faster, and there's less tissue to break through as well.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Doc. I promise I wouldn't interrupt you no more.
It's okay. All right. So, if you take a juice that's not advised during the kind of sickness that you have, then your condition can get worse. That is something we have to think about. So, for example, let's say that you are experiencing, I don't know, you're having constipation or chronic constipation, and you decide that you're going to be fasting on guava juice because there's a lot of guava down the road next to you. It's free, you don't have to pay for it. So, I'm fasting on guava juice. Then you're going to make things a whole lot more complicated. Okay, because guava tends to constipate most people. eating too much guava, let's say, will help people to get constipated. So you always have to be aware, that you're using the right fruit or the right vegetables for your condition, because every juice is not an overall cure for any disease or any health problem that you may have. Okay, so yes, they are beneficial and definitely revitalizing to the body. We say also, because I'm going through my notes because we spoke a lot about everything through the conversation. Rogers help into speedy recovery by supplying the needed elements for the body's healing process and cell regeneration. So that's what Dr. Sebi insisted a lot about. I was watching a video of him this week when he would drop to his knees and he would say that every morning, one thing that he does is just drop to his knees. So everybody thought that he was going to stay to pray. And he said, if he can drop to his knees and get back up, it means that there's mucus on his knees. And therefore, he needs CMOS because he knew that the CMOS would be what is going to help him to deal with removing the mucus from the body. All right. The raw juice also have a good amount of easily absorbable organic mineral like calcium, potassium, silicon, and these minerals help in restoring the biochemical and mineral balance in the cells and tissue, thus preventing premature aging. So you'll notice that if you go through a juice therapy, smoothie therapy, because the smoothie will fall into also the juice therapy. Okay, you'll notice that after a few days, you look, your skin is tight, your pores are a whole lot finer, and you look younger. So that's something definitely that I recommend that we do often enough. So there are some people who recommend to do it once a month. Me, I recommend that women detox their body once a month during the bleeding part of the menstrual cycle. So whether they choose to have a juice therapy or not, okay, whether they choose to probably have vegetables only or have fruits only, but I am one to recommend women to detox during the bleeding phase of their cycle, okay, because the body is already detoxing itself, so that's the best time to just help your body to go into the same direction, okay. And the best part about it definitely is that it requires no digestion, so all the nutrients, they are absorbed directly into your bloodstream. So it is a great protocol to heal faster if you use the right ingredients. So I had put together like some, juice protocols in case anybody would ask any question. And if it is better to use your juice right away or to use the recommendation that we presented at the beginning in the video that you stream. Okay, you can't just blend your vegetables or your greens and just leave it there in the fridge and attend it as you put your Coke or whatever juice. You have to take measures to make it last a little longer and to conserve, all the minerals and vitamins fresh. Okay, and it should be diluted with water, especially if it is very sweet. Voila. There's one I want to share that's for halitosis, bad breath. And it is recommended. And this one, I liked it. Not because it's one that I use personally, but because of what was recommended, the ingredients recommended, because I felt like this particular blend could open a big controversy in terms of the different naturalistas and what people think is a natural vegetable or fruits or what is an hybrid. So in the Time of India, for example, Time of India magazine, it is recommended to blend apple, tomato, grapefruit, celery, carrot, and spinach together in order to get rid of the bad breath. So what do you think about that blend, Baba?
Yeah, you could hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, well, my video seemed to be lagging, but the
It is
blend,
like I can see so.
yeah, so the blend that you recommend seemed to be an excellent combination and would probably work quite well in probably aiding in probably destroying some of the bacteria in the stomach that would probably reduce the effect of what we know as bad breath or halitosis, right? A lot of the things that we consume now, like milk and chocolate and dairy products and these type of things, contribute to that. Another thing we use quite a bit that contribute to that is the sugars that cause fermentation in the stomach.
Cheese, yeah.
So, yeah, milk products and sugars, simple sugars, cause fermentation. And those are like the main contributors to halitosis or bad breath when you have things fermenting in the stomach.
Definitely.
All right, so more or less, I think that's our show for this week.
Yes, it is because I have mommy time, mommy duties. Have to pick up my children today, so I cannot extend any longer. But I'm definitely looking forward to connect again next week. And by then, I'm hoping that my computer won't give me as much problem, although I can see clearly. But using my phone, um, the audio quality is not the same.
All right, well, we'd like to thank you again, Doc, as usual, for hosting such a fantastic, very informative show. And we would like to thank all the viewers for joining us. And we would like to say like, share, and subscribe. And we will be back on 5 p.m. next Sunday. So, with that, I would
Odabo.
like to say Odabo.
Odabo.